Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. To commemorate the spooky season, I thought I'd do a film review on a film that completely embodies the Halloween spirit. So I put a tweet out asking what is the ultimate Halloween film, and I had multiple responses come back naming 2007's Trick or Treat. Despite having never seen the film before, I'm super aware that it's kind of considered the quintessential Halloween film, so I thought, why not tick it off my list and share my thoughts about it to celebrate this Halloween season. Trick or Treat is an anthology-style horror comedy written and directed by Michael Dougherty, who also directed Christmas-themed horror film Krampus. Going into this film, I thought it was going to be a PG film, which was aimed at younger teens, mostly due to the imagery I'd seen before of it, specifically of the Sam character, who's super cute. But yeah, this was definitely more brutal and raunchy than I anticipated. The film presents 5 interwoven stories, all taking place in the same town on one Halloween night. A high school principal is a serial killer in his spare time. A college virgin is on a mission to find the right guy for her first time. A group of teens pull a mean prank. A Halloween-hating woman breaks tradition. And a bitter old man gets a visit from an unexpected guest. First off, I just really want to put it out there and say that I completely understand the appeal of this film and why so many people love it, especially as a holiday or seasonal horror film. It absolutely oozes a Halloween atmosphere and the vibe is super fun and it feels light despite being pretty gruesome at times. It also feels original and I've never quite seen anything like this before. Although it also manages to have this familiarity about it, which really works in its favor. However, with all that being said, and it kind of makes me nervous to say it, but I don't think it lived up to the hype. Please don't come for me. My biggest criticism of the film is that it just felt kind of messy and underdeveloped. I know that this is an anthology-style film, but it just felt like a bunch of half-baked stories thrown together. There was zero backstories behind the majority of the stories that were presented, and the stories themselves were shallow and average at best. The film has a mere runtime of 87 minutes, and I strongly believe that it should have been extended to give it some much-needed background and development. I didn't understand who the Sam character was and what the rules were and his motives. So at the end, I just had this overwhelming feeling of, did I miss something? A little exposition can go a long way, and I really feel like that this could have done with a bit more of it, especially surrounding this Sam character and their motives. I've since done a little bit of reading about this, and apparently that this was meant to be released with a bunch of, I think, short stories or comics that kind of explain some of this. And I believe that there's a short film as well by the same director who kind of, I guess, builds the backstory about this character. I haven't looked into it myself, but I don't know, as a standalone film without that background information, it just seemed a little bit confusing and I just was having to join the dots myself, so yeah. On the topic of characters, I really didn't feel a connection to any of them, except for maybe Rhonda. She was an exception. But with this large cast of characters, to not feel a connection to any of them, especially Sam, who is noted as the film's main protagonist, that in itself is an issue. The film really banks everything on the novelty of the Halloween season and relies on the viewer to be a big fan of the holiday. Outside of that, it was just really underwhelming. And I totally get it. It has this charm about it, and I feel similar ways about not so great Christmas films that people have about this film. It's easy to kind of look past its flaws and its shortcomings when it makes you feel a kind of way. And I don't know if it's because Halloween wasn't a tradition I grew up with, or the fact that I only just watched this film now, that I don't have those feelings of nostalgia tied to it. But yeah, it just felt average to me, and it just fell short of my expectations. But like I mentioned before, I could understand the appeal. I myself was pretty obsessed with the aesthetic of the film and the atmosphere, and despite the issues I had with the writing and the execution, I still liked how the stories all tied together and how they weren't shown in chronological order for a bigger impact. I also thought the special effects were really well done, and from what I could tell, for the most part, they were practical. Some of the other horror films in the 2000s are pretty heavy-handed on the CGI, especially those that are supernatural in nature. So I really appreciated that this film didn't go down that route. This film has a lot going for it, and it was so close to being really good, but in the end, it just felt average to me. But hey, what do I know? I'm aware that not absolutely loving this film is an unpopular opinion, and it does feel somewhat blasphemous to not be gushing and raving about this film right now, so take from it what you will. Overall, even though this film didn't really do it for me, I still think it's a must-watch Halloween classic. If you're a fan of the spooky season, chances are you're gonna love this film. For me personally, I don't think this is one I'll revisit again next year or maybe the year after that, but I do appreciate what the filmmakers intended to do, and that's to create a love letter to the Halloween season, and in that regard, it nailed the brief. I give Trick or Treat a personal score of 5 out of 10. So I hope that I'm now not going to be disowned from the horror community because I didn't love this film, but I just had to be honest, and unfortunately, it just wasn't my type of film. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this film. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? It's probably more likely to be the latter, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, I hope everyone has a very spooky Halloween, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.